camera was still up. And I am back. Welcome to Tonight in America. I'm your host, Dontarius Jones. We are back here tonight on a Monday, or it's 12 at midnight. Where technically we're back on a Tuesday, but we'll count it as Monday. Yeah. So I'm back, everyone. Sorry, I've been gone for a week. I try to keep everyone up to date. I tried to come back multiple times throughout the week. Stuff didn't pan out, of course. Personal life issues, whatever. Work related stuff. Till YouTube starts paying me, and I can do this full time. Then we could be on track to where I'm here every day. So I just want to jump in right quick. Let me listen to this. I try to come back. All right, just listen to the audio right quick. Let me turn down my mic. Make sure everything comes out right. Let's see. All right, that should do. That should do. All right, let me give me a one if the mic sounds good. Give me a one if the mic sounds good. Hmm. And how many viewers we're gonna have in tune in tonight? I did start this stream a little bit late. I was supposed to be a little bit earlier. But to make sure the mic sounds good, so that's why I'm watching on my phone just to make sure it sounds good on video. I need to adjust it or whatever. Let me see. Make sure is the mic good. Should be good now. Before I start the show, I want to make sure the mic is good and excellent before we get into tonight's topics. Wait till I hear myself talk. Sure. Start before the show. Make sure the mic is excellent. All right. I guess that will do for now. If I need to adjust something later, I will. But yeah. So how's everyone doing? I'm sorry I've been gone for like a week again. I do apologize, but we're back tonight. We're gonna recap a couple stories. The government has shut down while I was gone. Uh, there's a Trump has a peace deal going on with Hamas in Gaza, and oh, this one was recently today, but I'll cover it since this is a very big thing right now. So I haven't talked much about the Charlie Kirk situation much. I haven't brought up none of the conspiracy theories or nothing like that. But apparently today, Candace Owens dropped some major bombshell news about this Charlie Kirk apparently feeling betrayed by Israel and turned on them or was going to turn on them. So she dropped some text messages from WhatsApp that apparently Charlie Kirk was saying that he was losing money from his major Jewish donor and he was about to stop being pro Israel. So, of course, this is a very juicy thing to cover. I'm trying not to be on a stream for too late because I do have to be up. So, we're just going to dive right on into it. But before we do, make sure you smash the like button. Hit the comment section. Let me know how you like the stream so far. Let me know if the sound sounds good. Yeah. So, I'm not going to try to be on stream too long because I have other stuff to do. But in the meantime, like I said, smash the like button again. I'll repeat myself again just to make sure if everyone didn't hear me the first time. Smash the like button. Comment, leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know how you like the stream so far. Let me know what I can improve on for you guys for the next stream. But we're gonna jump right on into the stories. First one we're gonna do is we're going to cover the government shutdown. So the federal government is shut down. I mean that just happened right now. While I literally just jumped. I mean that just happened right now. While I literally just jumped on stream. Bruh. I literally just came on stream. All right, so we're back now. Sorry about that. I literally restream's acting retarded. But let's jump into it. Okay, so where was I at? Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. So this is from the NPR news website about, and we're going over the federal government is shut down. Here's what that means across the country. The federal government is currently shut down after lawmakers failed to pass a funding bill by 12:01 a.m. on October 1st. All non-essential services have been suspended, and several 100,000 federal employees and active duty service members will work without pay. Reporters from the NPR network are digging into ways the government shutdowns affecting services across the country. As we enter another week with lapse in federal funding, here's what we know. Bruh. What the bruh? I swear. Gosh, bruh. I literally just started this stupid thing. Yeah, sorry about that. Keep skipping frames. Stupid fucking restream. But anyways, so the government has shut down because of a partisan bill that we're trying to get passed for the Affordable Care Act, and of course the Democrats and the Republicans couldn't come to agreement. So this led to another government shutdown. The last time we saw this was in Trump's first term, of course, and I believe that lasted for like 30 something days. That was the longest ever shutdown ever that happened in American history. So we're gonna watch this video right here from CNBC, and this is what the government shutdown means for the market. Hold on, just a moment. This just wanna make sure. Yep, make sure I got all green bars right now. Bruh, stupid thing here.
Shutdowns are actually a bit more common than probably perceived. We've had 20 of these shutdowns. It's often just political brinksmanship.
I think it's really simply a response to showing that they're willing to fight Trump.
The president's doing kabuki theater. He's threatening to fire a bunch of employees if we don't keep the government open.
Democrats are really trying to make this fight about healthcare, but Republicans are betting that they won't be successful.
Response showing that they're willing to fight Trump.
Sorry about that. That's YouTube being trash right now.
Successful, that people will just see Democrats as holding up a shutdown, potentially leading to a large-scale federal layoff. The fiscal year starts from October 1st and runs all the way until September 30th of next year. So every year on September 30th or around this time, there's a question whether or not the government is going to be funded.
We are going to give them every opportunity to vote for a clean CR.
For Republicans, it's a time to show that Democrats are blocking the way to keeping the government funded, trying to paint them as unreasonable.
We're spending about $7 trillion this year. Now, we're only talking about 25% of the budget, which is the discretionary spending. Obamacare is the root cause of all these problems. It is skyrocketing healthcare costs, insurance costs, and all Democrats want to do is throw more money at it. But we want to bring down healthcare costs in a reasonable way.
Well, Democrats say the only way they are ever going to give Republicans the votes they need to keep the government open is through something on healthcare.
And what we know is that failure to extend those tax credits is going to...
All right. Apologize about that. I was connected to the internet apparently, bruh. First stream back, I'm already dealing with some bullshit. Already dealing with some bull crap. Yeah, we're back up right now. I apologize, but I just connected to my... Bruh, this internet is so fucking garbage, bro. Fuck, man. Restream is just so fucking trash. Well, we're still live everywhere on YouTube right now. Bruh, man, this shit's so fucking trash.
who has come out and said he doesn't think that a government shutdown is ever a good idea, that it ever helps people, and he has come out and supported the Republicans' legislation. But at this point, you don't have any other Democrats who have done so.
My guess is we probably will shut the government down.
This shutdown is a little bit different because we're seeing something that we've never seen before, which is the federal government not just saying that they will furlough federal employees, but they will actually fire and lay off federal employees who are considered non-essential. So the Office of Management and Budget, run by Russell Vought, came out with a memo to agencies just the other week saying, hey, as you furlough employees, consider whether or not you really need those roles and consider shrinking down your agencies so it's only essential employees, as well as programs and agencies that are in line with the president's agenda. Now, he didn't go into detail about exactly which agencies those would be, but we can guess based on what the priorities of the Trump administration have been. Probably means things like Customs and Border Protection, ICE, military, policing would all maintain funding levels and staff, where maybe things like, say, the Department of Education would be more at risk for cuts. Democrats have basically come out and said that this is nothing more than an intimidation tactic. They point out there have already been massive reductions in the federal workforce and that Russell Vought doesn't need a government shutdown to ask agencies to lay off individuals. Meanwhile, you have seen the Supreme Court bring some initial rulings out that lay a path for the Trump administration to fire more workers. So there is more of a risk here if a shutdown does happen, because you could see a massive shrinkage in the size of government.
Those federal workers would be certainly impacted in a major way. If I look at the overall, economy, we're talking about 160 million people employed, over 160 million employed, and the federal workers, the ones that are potentially furloughed, is probably about 800,000. This big debate about the employment picture and inflation, and if we go into a government shutdown, some of that data releases, even the upcoming employment report, would potentially not come out. So all of a sudden, you have the Fed heading into a meeting with less information, which is already a difficult decision. I mean, I think what would happen is that the Fed would start looking even more on outside private data, but it certainly complicates things at a time where there's a lot of tension in the Fed's mandate and that employment versus the inflation side.
I mean, obviously, it's a big deal for the government employees that are furloughed or fired, but from a broader economic perspective, not so much.
The economy tends to take a little bit of a short-term hit during the shutdown, and then there tends to be a rebound thereafter as well. So you're seeing the kind of the same picture play out in financial markets. When you look back historically, leading up, there tends to be a little bit of volatility, but during the actual shutdown, the market has actually been about flat.
When it comes to the FAA, airlines, you usually see longer lines for planes when a government shutdown is going on. The U.S. Travel Association estimated that during a shutdown, about $1 billion for the travel industry has lost a week. That's from flights, that's from rail, that's from people not visiting U.S. parks and national monuments, which are closed during a shutdown. Would it be smart for the government to avoid having to do shutdowns by automatically continuing funding when they get to this point? Probably. But much like the fiscal cliff and raising the debt ceiling, it takes away this key point of leverage that really forces lawmakers to sit down, come to the table, and hash out an agreement. Much like the debt ceiling and the debt limit, it's something that Congress is just going to continue to wrangle over year after year.
So pretty much, if you're used to a government shutdown, this happens quite often. The government shuts down for like X amount of days. They go back and forth about the media who's at fault for why the government had to shut down or whatever. So it's probably not going to last that long, personally speaking. See, here's the news the day that the news broke that the government was shutting down. Pretty much, they were counting down the hours, the minutes, the seconds before the government was shutting down. And after we watch this little video, I'll give my take on it.
And the clock has now struck midnight in the nation's capital. A live look at Capitol Hill, where the government shutdown is now in effect. We do know that the OMB officially issued guidance that the government will shut down today. We know that senators did hold a vote earlier today. Ultimately, that vote did not get us to a spot where they could avoid a government shutdown. So now here we stand, October 1st. And it'll be up to the Senate in the morning to reconvene and see if they can work through some of the key issues. We'll be listening tomorrow morning. And when I say tomorrow morning, I mean Wednesday morning. We'll be listening Wednesday morning for any key concessions that may come from lawmakers. The U.S. Senate did adjourn earlier Tuesday evening without reaching a deal to extend federal funding. So we are now talking about a partial government shutdown that will have a range of effects on public services, employee furloughs, potential layoffs. Certain government activities will be impacted. Republicans had crafted a short-term measure to fund the government through November 21st, by the way, but Democrats insisted that the measure address their concerns on health care.
Yeah, so they want like 1.3 million for, or it was a million or trillion for healthcare. I believe it was million. They want, or billion actually. Let me while I'm looking that up. So the Democrats want at least, I would say, billions of dollars for healthcare purposes to give a suitable healthcare that could better fit the American population, which, quite frankly, it's not doable. You know, as much as people want a stable healthcare system, right now it's complicated to even get that. You know, the healthcare systems have been fucked up since really a long time. Since any president, any administration from Republican to Democrat, we've had a fucked up healthcare system. It's been an unfair healthcare system to where people can't get healthcare at all for their loved ones or whatever. Even to this day, people are still struggling getting healthcare. You know, Trump just passed a big beautiful bill. A lot of people are about to be kicked off their personal health care because of the bill, but there's still other ways to get your local health care or whatever. This mainly affects the lower class of people that have to rely on say healthcare, like say Obamacare, Medicaid, all that stuff. They have to use that type of level of health insurance to be able to afford um, their medical needs for their medicines, you know, checkups, cancer screenings, you know. So this is pretty much why why the government had a shutdown. So honestly, it's not going to last that long. Probably, they're probably going to come to an agreement because, like, the Dems are the minority in the Senate. They have to come to they have to come to a conclusion at some point because a lot of federal workers don't have jobs. They're not making money. None of the troops are getting paid right now. The ICE agents that are still doing the raids, they confirmed, what was it, the day before yesterday? They're not getting paid to do ICE raids, but they're still doing it because they're real patriots and they believe in deporting all these legal aliens, even if they're not getting paid to do their jobs. They're still believing doing their jobs because they believe in upholding our laws, and that's what makes them real patriots. We might react to a highlight video of all the chaos that's going on in Illinois and Portland. You know, there's a lot of shit going on out there. Excuse me. There's a lot of chaos going on with these raids. But anyways, yeah. So that's pretty much that on the government shutdown right now. We can go ahead and move on. So we're talking all about this idea to bring peace to the Middle East. Again, Trump has proposed a new peace offer to Hamas, to where he wants Israel and Hamas to sit down and finally and come to a full-on ceasefire agreement, a peace agreement. And Trump's pretty much outlined it in this little press conference him and BB had with the press. So this was like 7 days ago. Him and BB took the stands in the Oval Office in the White House with the media to talk about Trump's new idea to bring peace between Hamas and Israel, and to take pretty much, well, I'll go over one thing. In this peace deal, there's no mention of a Palestinian state, no statehood. But Trump did mention who would take over Gaza would be the United States, i.e. Trump. Trump wants to fully take over Gaza and hold ownership of the country until a suitable government that can come about that isn't control, that isn't the old Palestinian Authority or Hamas. So pretty much we got this video right here, and then we also have it in like detail right over here. We have it in detail right over here. We're gonna go over the video and we're gonna read through all this right here. Trump's outline for like the end of the conflict or end the genocide that's going on right now. So we're gonna watch the video right here first, and then we're gonna go over it, and then we're gonna also watch these two videos right here where Hamas rule has to come to an end. This was actually today or yesterday by Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's go up right here. So this was 1 day ago. So he's still doing his rounds in the media saying that Hamas's rule has to come to an end. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they wanted to end this conflict soon as possible. They wanted to return the hostages, but Israel said no. Hamas was going to lay his arms down and leave, but Israel did say no. And then we also can watch this one. This is from Channel 4 News. Can Israel and Hamas agree to Trump's Gaza peace plan? So we're going to listen to Trump outline his peace plan right here. Let's just jump into the video right now.
Say at this joint press conference.
Thank you very much, everybody. So this is a big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, incredible. Every single one of them. This afternoon, after extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done, not just routinely done, these are done with total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard. Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and have been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader. Prabowo, he is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day. The Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, they were with us right from the beginning. Incredible. In fact, they just put out a statement that they fully believe in this pact. It just came out just as I was walking around. They said, sir, you have a big notice from the Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal that they back this 100%. President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific. And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began.
All right, he's just kind of yapping right now. I did watch this whole thing, so I pretty much know what he's going to say. So let's just go ahead and skip over to the point where he's talking about his peace deal.
They tend to be mostly men, however, I will say that. But if accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and I hate even saying this from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents felt as strongly about getting the body of their dead boy back as they did as though the boy were alive and well. It's so important to them. And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons, production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza. Working with the new transitional authority in Gaza, all parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully, as progress is made toward achieving these goals. Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not dealt with. I haven't dealt with them. But the Arab countries are going to, and Muslim countries are going to be dealing with Hamas, and I believe they've already been there. I think they probably have an understanding, and they haven't maybe mentioned that, but I would imagine they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone as far as they've gone. If they're unable to do so, then Israel would have the absolute right and actually our full backing, the U.S. full backing. Marco's here, and a lot of our leaders are here, our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close, but it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a...
Yeah, I don't like that right there. No. They're not just destroying, they're killing Hamas soldiers, but they're killing innocent women, children, and men. That's who's dying also. They're not strategically bombing them. They're just indiscriminately bombing everything. So it's good that he's giving his peace plan out, but this conflict is not over. It's going to be over with if they do choose to accept this agreement, because at the same time, there's still no pathway to statehood.
I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer, but if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do. Everyone understands that the ultimate result must be the elimination of any danger posed in the region, and the danger is caused by Hamas. The tyranny of terror has to end, and this is, again, something that we're looking for. This is eternity. This is for forever. To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace. We call it the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world, and Israel, and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it will be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it. And we'll do it right, and we're going to put leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board. And one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others. And they'll be named over the next few days, and it'll be quite the board. Working, everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me, and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with. Working with the World Bank and others, it'll be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians along with highly qualified experts from all around the world. Hamas and other terrorist factions will play no role in the board, but they'll play no role in the governance of Gaza at all, directly or indirectly. As you know, thousands of Hamas leaders have been killed, and soldiers have been killed, and we can never forget October 7th, but thousands have paid the price for that, and now it's time to get our hostages back and get back to trying to build something that's really great and very important. In our meeting today, Prime Minister Netanyahu was very clear about his opposition to a Palestinian state, and he continuously mentions October 7th, and I understand that. Most people do. And I understand and respect his position on many things, but what he's doing today is so good for Israel. And I notice that they have large crowds gathering in Israel all the time, and they have my name up. They like me for whatever reason, maybe, I don't know, but they do like me. But they say two things: please get the hostages back, and please end the war. They've had it. So I think it's a very popular thing you do, because he's a warrior. He doesn't know about getting back to a normal way of life, but he is a warrior, and Israel's lucky to have him. But now the people want to get back to peace. They want to get back to normalization in a true sense. Several countries have foolishly recognized.
Yeah, but you got to ask the question, does Netanyahu want to get back to peace? That's the bigger question. this deal, this peace deal, I mean, it's the best we can get to stop the slaughter. But the question is, can you trust Netanyahu to actually go along with this deal? That's the bigger question to ask. Like, you can get the deal signed, and you can get the agreement to take place, and Hamas can lay down their weapons and leave Gaza. What's stopping Netanyahu from just bombing them as soon as they're as soon as they're within firing range? Because he already broke the agreement. He already tried to attack them in Qatar. Didn't even waste no time. Literally. He literally just fired missiles into Qatar when he know what building, what location it was. And they done it on the Red Sea. The U.S. naval ship. That's the even crazier part. That pissed off everyone. And all the Arab nations, all in the Middle East, were pissed off because of Israel did that. So, but of course they didn't do nothing because they have us there to back them up. So we gotta ask some real good questions here. What if this peace plan is signed and they all agree to this? What's stopping Israel from breaking it?
Is the Palestinian state, as you know, some of our European friends, allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades. They've been presidents and prime ministers for years, and during this time, having to do with the Middle East, all they're doing is talking about the same thing over and over. They want to see it get back, and nobody wants that more than me, or I believe Bibi too. But the people of Israel want it. They really want it. They want the hostages back. That includes the probably 32 bodies that we're talking about, 20 people that are living, 32 or so people that are dead, and they want to have peace. So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work.
This is why I think Hamas is really skeptical about taking any deals, because the Israelis are only focused on blood. They want blood. I just don't see a liable option for them to take any option, because every time they are given an option, it's more in favor of Israel than it's more fairly 50-50. It's just bad deal after bad deal. Yeah, I get it. They want Hamas to disarm and leave the West Bank, leave Gaza. But what's stopping them? What's stopping Israel from just going ahead and just blowing them smithereens as soon as they'd agree to that? Hamas doesn't want to lead to his own extinction. That's the bigger picture to look at this. So you can look at that from both perspectives, that if they agree to this peace deal, and the second they try to leave Gaza, it's the next second that Israel's going to take them out. So you have to look at this from both sides. So it's pretty much like an unfair deal for the most part. It's really an unfair deal. Now, of course, they want the slaughter to stop. All the Gazans, all the innocent women, children, and men that are getting killed because of this war want this conflict to come to an end. They want this pain and suffering to stop. But at the same time, the reason why there hasn't been a deal being signed yet is because every deal seems to just be in favor of Israel and the United States more than it's more favoritude towards Hamas. Hamas is not dumb. They don't want to get killed. It's not me sympathizing with them. It's just explaining why there hasn't been a deal signed just yet. People have to understand this nuance to all this. They don't want to sign a deal that's going to lead to their extinction. Because the second they try to leave, it's the next second Israel's just going to pounce on them because they smell blood and take the opportunity to completely wipe them out.
That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that, because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them, and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. That terrible thing Terrible, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many. I've seen so many of them, and they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world.
You know, it's kind of crazy to me, like how a lot of these world leaders and a lot of these governments, even the people that are recognizing the Palestinian state, like France and all these other countries, they blame the people at the same time as they blame Hamas. So I don't know how many of the Palestinians do agree with Hamas, but it's just like sitting here and blaming the entire people for Hamas. It just seems kind of like just kind of disingenuous. How are you going to blame all the people, the women and children, the men that don't fight or probably even agree with Hamas for this problem? You're sitting here blaming them, saying that this is their, like, I always like find it kind of like disingenuous when I hear all these government officials speak about Gazans and speak about them in this way to where they make them feel like they're implemented into what Hamas has done. Now, of course, Hamas is they're Palestinian fighters for the most part. So, of course, they look at all of them, all the Gazans that are being slaughtered and killed, they can one day become members of Hamas. Yes, there is a possibility of that, but not all have. And blaming all the thousands, millions of people there as if they're all Hamas or they agree with Hamas, this seems very just unjustly. That's what it just looks like to me. So, and that's not me taking up for, again, I'm not just trying to defend Hamas in any type of form, but what I am doing here is making an argument for, like, you can't blame a vast majority for a small minority militant guerrilla group for what they've done on October 7. And everything about October 7, great thing about it is October 7. It's the anniversary. So you can look here and say that it seems like to me October 7 was orchestrated in a way to where it seemed like, because how you look at Israel, how the way it's set up, and then we covered that in our Charlie Kirk episode, that Israel is a very fortified country. It's hard to get into those borders. You can't walk down the block and not see a person with a gun over there. This is according to what Charlie Kirk said in his Patrick B. David interview. Israel is so heavily fortified. So it makes you think, how could a small guerrilla militant group be able to infiltrate a very heavily fortified country like that? And it begs the question that there was probably a stand down order. They purposely allow that to happen so they can commence with October 7th, commence with the destruction of the Gazan. So this just brings up a lot of questions and stuff like that, especially because, like, Israel's so heavily fortified. How is it that a small guerrilla militant group was able to get in? It's like there was a lot of mistakes that day that doesn't seem to add up. And you look more into it, it just seems like to me like there was a stand down order. They purposely allowed Hamas to come in there so they have an excuse to commence with the slaughter. So I might do an October 7th. We might react to a documentary tonight on stream since it is October 7th. Either I'm going to live stream it or I'm just going to record it and just post it later.
In the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success. Israeli security is going to be involved. We're going to help you. We'll be there with you in terms of helping with security. We want to make sure it works. We just want to make sure it works. There shouldn't be a shot fired. Now, there will be, I guess, because that's the way it seems to be, but they shouldn't have to be within a few days. They shouldn't have to be a shot fired. And maybe for eternity. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope it's true. I can tell you the leadership of that region feels that there's a good chance of it being true. So this will lead to this agreement that we're talking about will lead to a sustainable long-term peace. No president in history has been a greater friend of the state of Israel than I have, in addition to negotiating the Abraham Accords. I like to say it that way because the real people, that's what they call Abraham. I would say Abraham, but it's so much nicer when you say Abraham. So much more elegant. But the Abraham Accords are amazing. Jared, you did that along with your group of geniuses, and nobody thought that could be done. We have 4 countries, and Sleepy Joe Biden didn't do a thing. He didn't even know what the hell they were. He should have had them filled up. But I think this will also lead to packing them. And who knows, maybe even Iran can get in there. I hope, we hope we're going to be able to get along with Iran. I think they're going to be open to it. I really believe that. But they could be a member. I long ago said, I'll bet you at some point Iran will be a member of the Accords. And little did I realize it was going to take this turn. That was some turn we did with the B2s. But I think they might very well be there because it's a great thing for them economically. I recognize the eternal capital of Israel. I opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. That was something that everyone said would never be done, could never be done.
Yeah, Trump is definitely the most pro-Israel president we ever had in history. I mean, he's done so much. Opened the Capitol in Jerusalem, like he just mentioned. Pretty much, there's some other things he did. Right now, I can't even think. Yeah, he's done so much for Israel, pretty much. Like this whole since he got in office, his whole he's always giving them billions of dollars, funding the wars, funding their campaigns, always taking them. Hell, he even bombed Iran for them. Clearly, they were getting stomped so badly by Iran that Trump had to jump in and bomb their facilities, basically lying to the American people, said that we would not get involved in any conflicts whatsoever militarily, and he got involved. As many people, including Charlie Kirk, who we will talk about his stuff in a little bit, run cover and says that America, Trump was always going to bomb Iran, which in reality we shouldn't have done that. We ran on no new wars, we ran on no new conflict. And also BB has talked about that too, that Iran, he said this on X too as well, that Iran is going to start another war with the United. He claims that Iran is about to start another war with the United States, which he's pushing for another war with Iran. We're continuing the battle with Iran, so we can commit regime change. That's the ultimate goal with that. Is that they want to put in a friendlier regime in Iran that's in favor of Israel, and it's also in favor of the United States. Really, just mainly in favor of Israel. Like I said, the ultimate goal is greater Israel, a way bigger Israel, so that way they can lead themselves to becoming a superpower. They want to become a global superpower like the United States, like China, like Russia. That's Israel's goal. They want to become a global superpower. So that way, if or when we were to have an administration in there that is anti-Israel, we have an anti-Israel administration that is not in favor of sending them no more money. They're on their own. Hey, cool, whatever. We already destabilized the entire region already for them by the time that happens. There's a different regime in Iran, which Iran wouldn't be the top hegemon in the Middle East anymore. It would be Israel. Saudi Arabia was already in bed with Israel. The United Arab Emirates already in favor of Israel. All these other countries are already pro. Bruh. I swear this stream has so many crash. Yeah. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah. So their goal is to just become a global superpower. That's Israel's main and ultimate goal. People could say it's biblical. Yes, you could say it's theology. You could say you can make a case for theology, whatever. But mainly, if we're speaking strictly politics, Israel's goal is to become a global superpower. They want to become just as equivalent to United States, China, and Russia. They want to be able to do dealings with China and Russia without having us involved. So That's their goal.
Virtually every president for many, many years, for decades, would campaign on making Jerusalem the capital of Israel. They campaigned on it over and over. Is that right, Steve? Is that right? Everyone, and when they got to it, and I understand why now, because it was so. When I got to office, I campaigned on it too. I said, we're going to make it. And then I'd get calls from the leaders of various countries saying, please don't do it. Please don't do it. It'll end the whole world. Please don't do it. And finally, I just didn't say anything, and I did it. People were calling me before I did it because I heard I was going to do it. And leaders of countries were calling me. And I think it was on a Thursday that I did it. And they called me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3-4 times a day. And I said, tell them I'll call them back on Friday. And I announced it on Thursday. And I called them back, the biggest people in the world. And they said, you've done it. I said, done what? You've made the capital of Israel, Jerusalem, and we wanted to talk yet. I wish you called me a little sooner. Maybe I could have done something about it. So that was a lot easier than getting into an argument because I knew what they were calling about. And you know what? It turned out to be amazing. Everybody thought it was going to lead to the end of the world, right? The end of the world, Ron. That's what they said. It didn't lead to anything. It just led to something that I promised and something that was very, very popular for Jewish people and a lot of other people, too. I recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and I cut taxpayer funding to the corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency. And United Nations was interesting because, as you know, a few days ago, they introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, I'm looking at my teleprompter, and the thing was dead, stone cold, dead. The thing's up here. I have a long, beautiful speech to make. I'm back, 30 feet back.
That United Nations speech was actually pretty good. Some people didn't like it on the alt-right, far right. But I mean, I looked at it. It was a good speech for me because he roasted all the other countries. He basically said all your countries are going to hell. Your economies are shit. You're all going to hell. Like that's basically the equivalent of a father talking down to his sons. That's what Trump did to all the other countries at the United Nations with his speech. He basically told them you're all going to hell. It was so funny.
And I'm saying, they're introducing me, there's nothing on my teleprompter. So, but I made a speech. I actually got good marks. You think Biden could have done that? I don't think so. I don't think he could have done that. I don't think too many people could have done it. But actually, it was actually more of a speech from my heart, if you want to know the truth. I think it was maybe better in certain ways because it was from the heart. It has to be from the heart, otherwise you're in big trouble. But I cut taxpayer funding for that very corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency, and nobody thought that would be done, and withdrew from the horrible Iran nuclear deal that was imposed upon Israel by Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. And I don't think Biden knew anything about it, though.
Yeah, Israel really hates Obama. Like, they didn't like Obama because he gave Iran that nuclear deal. Yeah, Israel, when you go down the rabbit hole about that, Israel really despises Obama and thinks that he's really like anti-Israel. And Obama loves Israel. He's not anti-Israel at all.
I don't think he knows anything about it now, actually, if you ask him. He said, what is that? And we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity, making it impossible for them to have a nuclear weapon, which they would have had probably in about 2 months from that. But I've never asked Israel to compromise its security, but we had big, strong talk. Nobody's been better to Israel. No president's been better to Israel than Donald Trump. But we had a long, strong talk, Bibi and I, and he understands it's time. It's time. History has shown. And the people of Israel want it. And the people of the Middle East want it. The people of enemies of Israel want it. But they don't have really too many enemies right now. And you know what? Many countries have gained great respect for Israel, for the way they fight, for the job they do.
Yeah, not really.
Including me. I had respect anyway, but they gained respect. History has shown us that those who have relations with Israel have thrived, while those who have devoted resources and attention toward the destruction and even annihilation of Israel have languished. They haven't done well. Israel is not going anywhere. They're going to coexist with other people and countries in the region, from Syria to Lebanon to Saudi Arabia. The promise of a new Middle East is so clearly within our reach. This is the closest we've ever come to real peace, not fake peace, not political fool's peace. If we can get this difficult problem solved, the opportunities for all within that vast region of this world, it's a vast region. It's unlimited. The Abraham Accords show that all countries are better off when they communicate and work together, embrace new opportunities. I hope Jared and Steve and Susie and Marco and JD, we have great people. I hope you guys are going to work very hard to get these other countries in, because now they have no excuse. There's no longer an excuse. They were somewhere hesitant. And I tell you, the 4 countries that went in, I give them tremendous credit, and it's worked out incredibly well for them. In the same spirit, I'm pleased to report that earlier today, we took another important step toward greater understanding of the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al Thani was of Qatar was they really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic. We agreed to launch a formal trilateral mechanism between Israel, Qatar, and the United States to begin a dialogue to enhance mutual security, correct misperceptions, and avoid future misgivings. And I want to thank Qatar, its leadership, and the Emir. He's a fantastic person. I think, I'm going to be his public relations man because I know him differently than a lot of people know him. But he wants peace. He wants to see peace. And his people, and they really acknowledge the critical role that they played as mediator. And again, we're not quite finished. We have to get Hamas, but I think they're going to be able to do that. So now it's time for Hamas to accept the terms of the plan that we've put forward today. And again, this is a different Hamas than we were dealing with because I guess over 20,000 have been killed. Their leadership has been killed 3 times over. So you're really dealing with different people than we've been dealing with over the last 4 years, 5 years. Everyone has done their part and come to the table in good faith. Our Arab and Muslim partners are fully prepared to step up and fulfill their commitments for the benefit of the people of Gaza and the entire region. They're willing to step up and do a lot. They really are. There are a lot of good people involved. Everybody who wants to see an end to the violence and destruction should be united in calling for Hamas to accept the extremely fair proposal so that we can end the war and get us back our hostages right now and have everlasting peace. And I look forward to having relationships with everyone as the chairman of the board. I'll be involved, and we'll have meetings with some very smart people that'll be working over there to make sure that we haven't just been wasting time with an agreement that doesn't get done. The task of building peace will not be easy. There's some of the hardest problems in the world to solve, and that's why it's been going on for so many.
We're going to skip over
I don't think
to
we would have had this guy.
BB give his perspective about this peace deal. And I want you to listen to what he's going to say about this. It's because, BB. Come on, BB. You already know what he's going to say. It's never a simple path to peace with him because with him, warfare is all they want. I think he's equivalent to a Secretary of State being in Israel, Ben Gavir. He's far worse than BB. Far worse than Netanyahu. I mean, literally, there's a video of him going to Israel's prison. I guess their prison of war prison in Israel. And he gloats about what they do to prisoners there. Literally. That guy is far worse than BB. So let's jump into Netanyahu's part right here.
This all works out. We think it will. It's going to be your crowning achievement. And I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, first I want to thank you for graciously hosting me once again in the White House. And second, I want to thank you for your friendship.
Key fact, this is his 4th time being at Washington this year alone. He's the only world leader who's been at the White House 4 times in 1 year. Can I get through one stream without having to deal with this crap? Bro. It's so fucking aggravating with this crap. Man. Alright, I think we're back again. I need to fix. I'm ready to go ahead and get down and fix this tomorrow. I need to fix this tomorrow. Like this needs to be taken care of because I can't not keep having this going on during the stream when I'm trying to stream and this thing keeps fucking crashing. Yeah, but we're back now. Man, this stupid fucking thing here. Try to get another internet provider for a PC. That way I won't have this problem anymore. All right, so making sure we're still good, we're everywhere. All right, so we're gonna go on and continue on and listen to BB's words. Did my screen crash again? No, we're good.
in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close. While you focus at home on making America great again, your leadership abroad is changing the world for the better, ending wars and advancing peace. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East. And I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. We would not have achieved this turning point without the courage and sacrifice of our incredibly brave soldiers. They fight like lions to defend the people of Israel, and they serve on the front line in the war between civilization and barbarism. Mr. President, when our two countries stand shoulder to shoulder, we achieve the impossible. Just a few months ago, in Operation Rising Lion and Operation Midnight Hammer, we struck a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Your bold decision to send those B-2s made the region safer and the world safer. Now, under your leadership, we're taking the next step to win the war and expand the peace. Your plan is consistent with the 5 principles my government set for the end of the war and the day after Hamas. Everybody asks, what is your plan for the day after Hamas? Here's our plan. Passed it in the cabinet. All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, all of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future. And lastly, Gaza will have a peaceful civilian administration that is run neither by Hamas nor by the Palestinian Authority. If Hamas agrees to your plan, Mr. President, the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President. I really appreciate it because you have a lot of things to do, and this is important. And it reflects the confidence that this will give everyone, that things will be followed up on all the commitments made. The fact that you're taking this on, I think helps a lot to make sure that everything flows in the direction that we want. Now, if this international body succeeds, we will have permanently ended the war. Israel will conduct further withdrawals linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but will remain in the security perimeter for the foreseeable future. I think we should understand that we're giving everybody a chance to have this done peacefully, something that will achieve all our war objectives without any further bloodshed. But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way.
Of course.
But it will be done. We prefer the easy way.
Yeah, it just seems like to me, BB's not looking for a peaceful resolution. Continuing to fight is what he wants. That's what it seems like to me. Because, like you say, we could do this the easy way, we could do this the hard way. Like, if they don't go through on your plan, Mr. President, we will continue to fight. Meaning, we will continue to slaughter. We will continue the genocide. Do not like those words at all. Do not like those words at all. That is very much a call for. We're not looking for ready for peace. We're just looking to continue this conflict. So that's what it looks like to me. So I'm looking at some other internet providers right now, cause like, bro, I'm just getting so fed up with right now on my internet. Yep, faster, fast. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely looking for another internet provider right now. I'm doing this on stream while I'm doing the show. So let me just go ahead and continue on. So yes, it from the way BB saying is from the way he's speaking right now, it seems like to me, like I say, he's not that focused on getting peace at all. He's definitely not. He's not. It's not on the top of the list for him because he one or two things. He wants to finish the fight with Hamas, and also he wants to keep this war going long enough so that we can keep from going to prison. As you may know, Benjamin Netanyahu has a corruption case going on right now in Israel. One of the trials had to be postponed because of a terror attack that happened in Israel a couple of days ago. Well, 2 weeks ago, I believe. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, it might be a little bit. It might be 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken, because there was a terror attack that happened in Israel. They blamed it on Hamas. Hamas says they had nothing to do with it. Israel obviously didn't believe them because they tried to basically tried to wipe them out in Qatar, in the Doha, and they bombed the building where all the Hamas officials were at. Of course, they survived, but that was their response to that little terror attack that happened in Israel, and they blamed it on Hamas. So BB, even in this, look, I paused it right there at the right time. In his eyes, he does not want this conflict to end for many different reasons. Because for one, he's not trying to go to prison because his corruption case is actively going on. Trump was very vocal against that and said that they do not need to prosecute Netanyahu. If that's the case, they will stop funding Israel if Netanyahu goes to prison. Very, very much, like I said, Trump worship the ground this guy walks on. And Benjamin Netanyahu was on an interview, and he straight up said that I can't control a guy like Trump. Trump is uncontrollable. It doesn't seem that way. I mean, when Trump first got back in office and Netanyahu came around his first time, he's literally pulling his chair out for him. Literally, like the funny thing about this is a story that was reporting, like he brought like a bunch of dirty laundry with him to the White House, and of course they got started washing his dirty laundry for him. Basically, like they opened the carpet for him. Like he had like a million, like I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but he had like a dozen standing ovations for him in his speech at the Senate. So this guy right here is worshipped by a bunch of the GOP. The GOP, for the most part, worship the ground that this guy walks on, worships Israel because they feel like it's a God-given right to do so. Because they feel like this is biblical Israel. This is the Jews coming home to their holy land, and they all to worship. They worship and ensure that the Antichrist comes about. If we're speaking in theology terms. Now, if we're speaking in politics terms, Israel, the apartheid state, is working to become a global superpower. That is their ultimate mission. As you can see right now, they're making big deals right now. They're making big investments right now. A bunch of these pro-Israel Zionist billionaires like Larry Ellison, who just purchased TikTok, is winning the propaganda war right now. I mean, they already started banning a bunch of people on the app that speaks about AIPAC's influence in the United States politics. That's one way how Israel influences our politics over here in America, along with a lot of top Zionists that are owning TV stations and pushes pro-Israel propaganda, among other things. Like they're pushing anti-Arab narrative, but they'll push pro-Israeli propaganda and make you feel like you have to love and appreciate Israel. It is a God-given right to do so because these are God's chosen people, as they always say. But the state of Israel was founded by secular Jews. So this is why, one of the reasons why I believe like the BB does not want this conflict, this genocide to end, because he's trying to stay out of trying to stay out of prison for one, and secondly, he wants to continue to slaughter until the Palestinians are pushed out from their home and forced to migrate somewhere else, say another Arab-led country, or dare I say to the United States, where we have to take in more immigrants.
But it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres. Mr. President, I was encouraged by your clear statement at the UN against the recognition of a Palestinian state. That would be an outcome that, after October 7th, would reward terrorism, undermine security, and endanger Israel's very existence. As for the Palestinian Authority, I appreciate your firm position that the PA can have no role whatsoever in Gaza without undergoing a radical and genuine transformation. In your 2020 peace plan, which you mentioned just now, you made clear what that transformation requires. It's not lip service. It's not checking a box. It's a fundamental, genuine, and enduring transformation. And that means ending pay to slay, changing the poisonous textbooks that teach hatred to Jews, to Palestinian children, stopping incitement in the media, ending lawfare against Israel at the ICC, the ICJ, recognizing the Jewish state.
Like they call the ICC's arrest for Benjamin Netanyahu anti-Semitic. That should let you know right there, like there's just no form of accountability. They feel like this man should not be in prison. All of our politicians in Washington feel like this man is wrongfully being charged with anti-Semitic crime, basically for committing a genocide. They feel like a man like this should not be charged and should not be jailed. That's why the United States. That's why when he comes to the United States, he's not arrested. It's actually funny because Zoran Mandani, the one of the candidates running for mayor in New York City, has said if Netanyahu comes to New York City, he would arrest him. And you kind of can figure why the GOP and even some leftist leaning Zionist Jews who have switched to become Republicans now and have pushed this anti-Zoran Mandani rhetoric to where they're going after him and really want this guy's head hung, basically as a figure of speech in a way. Like, people think that it's Zoran Mandani's socialism, which you could kind of make a case for that, but it's his anti-Israel rhetoric and the fact that he says that he would arrest Bibi if he comes to New York City. And the crazy thing about it, I don't think Zoran Mandani is not anti-Semitic. Zoran Mandani has a bunch of Jews working for him. Like, all he got like a bunch of Jews running his campaign trail right now, literally. You can look it up. So he's definitely not anti-Semitic. But the point of the matter is, a lot of these GOP types worship the ground BB walks on. They worship the ground. They calling the ICC's arrest warrant for him anti-Semitic, is hateful, shouldn't even be a thing. All the people that are against BB, speaking out against him, all labeling every one of them anti-Semitic. You know, the GOP worship, like I said, they love Benjamin Netanyahu. They love this guy. And this guy is literally a war criminal. He's committed war criminal acts during this war. Starving people is literally a war crime. Committing famine, that's a war crime. Like, there's no way around that. And then bumming Qatar, that's even worse. Look. And basically going after Iran unprovoked. Again, he's just digging himself a deeper and deeper ditch right now. But Bibi doesn't care, because as long as he has the backing of the United States, he can get away literally with anything, with literal murder, like we're just seeing right now. Like, today is today's society, because we have the invention of the internet and smartphones and social media, we're able to see a genocide taking place right now on camera. So BB's whole motivation is to stay out of prison, to stay in power, and to turn and to commit to the insurance of the Greater Israel Project.
and many, many other reforms. It won't come as a surprise to you that the vast majority of Israelis have no faith that the PA Leopard will change its spots. But rather than wait for this miraculous transformation, your plan provides a practical and realistic path forward for Gaza in the coming years, in which Gaza will be administered neither by Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but by those committed to a genuine peace with Israel. I think this can be not only a new beginning for Gaza, I think it can be a new beginning for the entire region. Under your leadership, we can re-energize, I've got to contribute my own, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords. That's what it's called in the original Hebrew. Abraham. Abraham is fine. Abraham, however you want to call it. Under your leadership, Mr. President, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords that we forged 5 years ago. We can expand them to many more Arab and Muslim nations that choose moderation over extremism. I think there's an opportunity here. It's not going to be easy. It's tough going, but I think if we succeed, you're absolutely right. We're going to open possibilities that nobody even dreamed of. But I think we dream of them. As you've told me, Mr. President, and you've told the world many, many times, you said, remember October 7th. Remember October 7th. And we do. We will never forget the horrors of October 7th, and we will do whatever is necessary to make sure they don't happen again. Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price. But those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples. President Trump just said it. It's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And that's actually what is happening.
Bruh, I just love how they use quotes from the Bible, and yet you read a book like Jesus in the Talmud and what they say about Jesus in their book. But of course, they always will tell you that that is misrepresenting what the Talmud actually really says, misquoting what the Talmud says. So these guys are just so full of shit.
We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. I want to thank your entire team for their efforts to get to this point. I especially want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for their indefatigable work to bring Israel and Arab states in the region closer together. I am deeply grateful to both of them for their work. We had a phone call today just to make it clear. I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar, Israel was targeting terrorists, wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen, wasn't our target. And I very much appreciate President Trump's proposal to have a trilateral body, the United States, Israel, and Qatar, to work out respective grievances. There are quite a few. But if we could try to mitigate them or put it on a different footing, I think that would be good for everyone. Above all the people, fine team, and many helpers who've done this, I want to thank you, Mr. President. History has already shown that under your leadership, Israel and America can change the face of the Middle East. And today I'm hopeful that your plan to end the war in Gaza will do so again and do so soon. It will free our hostages, end Hamas's tyranny in Gaza, and enable a more secure and prosperous future.
Now, we're going to move on because it's pretty much... This is from 1 day ago.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, thank you for joining us. And to begin with, we want to focus on the recent developments surrounding the latest deal with Hamas. Now, this deal comes close to exactly 2 years since the Hamas attack on the 7th of October.
Sorry, that's my
developments surrounding the latest deal with Hamas. Now, this deal comes close to exactly 2 years since the Hamas attack on the 7th of October. We might see the hostages freed on the same day they were taken 2 years ago. Bringing the hostages back, can you say Israel achieved its main goal?
Well, we accepted the deal, as did all the world. It was President Trump's plan. Hamas says that it accepted the deal. Now the onus is on Hamas. This plan consists of 2 parts. The first part is releasing all the hostages. Israel makes a tactical withdrawal, stays in Gaza. And then the second part is meant to demilitarize Gaza and disarm Hamas. That will be negotiated. But the first part is there. It's agreed upon. And that could be indeed the beginning of the end of the war. And as I said, since we accepted it, we have to see what Hamas will do. If Hamas will accept it, I think it's a very good sign. If Hamas doesn't accept it, and it's a possibility that we always take into mind, then Israel will receive, as President Trump says, the full support of the United States to forcefully act against it, to bring about an end to the war. I prefer, obviously, that we proceed with the plan as presented. But time will tell, and it won't take very long. In a few days, we'll know if Hamas agrees to the release of all our hostages. We can move forward. That is complete phase 1 of the deal. That's what we're trying to do right now.
Prime Minister, just to follow up, so what happens if Hamas does not release the hostages? What will Israel do? How Israel will change its stance and the strategy?
Well, you have to realize that the reason Hamas agreed in the first place to this deal is because we acted militarily against their main stronghold, the city of Gaza. I gave an order to several weeks ago to the army to enter that stronghold, and as a result, Hamas became, I would say, a lot more flexible because they realized that their end is near. Add to that President Trump's intervention and the plan that he put for ending the conflict by having the hostages released first. That I think sealed this this situation in a positive way. Now, of course, I can't tell you if Hamas will agree to it. I think that it's possible. I hope it'll happen, but I can't guarantee that it'll happen. And so if it doesn't happen, what President Trump has said is that he will back Israel completely in acting forcefully against Hamas. Well, let's hope that that we can finish it the easy way and not the hard way.
Prime Minister, the world is watching closely as the latest deal with Hamas unfolds. After all the suffering, what's next for Gaza from your point of view? What is your message to the Palestinian civilians and to Hamas at this stage?
I think everybody understands that Hamas rule has to come to an end. All our hostages have to be released. And of course, Hamas cannot come back to running Gaza, tormenting its people with its terror regime and terrorizing Israel with rockets and missiles and hostage taking. So that has to end. Once that ends, I think what we need is a system of a division of responsibility. Israel will have overall security responsibility to prevent terrorist resurgence from Gaza. But in Gaza, we need a civilian administration that is administered not by people who are committed to Israel's destruction, but those who are committed to living peacefully with it. President Trump has undertaken himself to head that civilian authority, to head the governing board of that civilian authority, and I think that's a good development. So if we have that, I think we can have a different future for Gaza and for Israel and for everyone in the region. That's what we hope will take place. But the first step is release all the hostages and then disarm Hamas and demilitarize Gaza.
Is that a good deal for Gaza, or is that the only deal for Gaza?
Well, I think right now it's the only deal on the table. There's no other deal, number one. Number two, I think it's very good for Gaza. And the Gazans are hoping that Hamas they want to free Gaza. They want to free Gaza from Hamas tyranny. Hamas shoots anybody in the Palestinian side who wants to dissent from Hamas' war of terror in Israel, wants to dissent from Hamas taking all the money, the billions that were poured into Gaza. The Gazans didn't see any benefit from that. They just built an underground city, terror tunnel city. And so they want a different future. And Gazans are now fighting Hamas. They're actually fighting Hamas because they see now a hope to get rid of Hamas. So is that something that can happen? I think it could. And I think it's not only that within Gaza people are hoping that they can remove this Hamas terror dictatorship that has subjugated them for so long. It's that everybody in the world agreed to a new deal for Gaza. Return of all our hostages, the disarming of Hamas, the demilitarizing of Gaza. Basically, the whole world has now accepted this plan. We have, most of the Arab countries have, the Arab states, as I said, have, Europe too. And of course, the United States, which has led this by President Trump. So that's a very good thing. And I think we should pursue it quickly.
Prime Minister, do you believe this deal would finally lead to a lasting peace rather than a merely temporary pause, especially given, as you said, that Hamas only partially accepted the plan?
Well, it can't partially accept it. It has to accept it in full, and especially the first part that has to get underway. That's what moves everything towards a resolution of the conflict. If they do, if we actually set up a civilian administration in Gaza that doesn't educate its children to hate Israel, to try to destroy Israel, to kill Jews everywhere, in other words, to de-radicalize Gaza, not only to demilitarize it, not only to disarm Hamas, but to de-radicalize Gaza, as was done in Germany after World War II or in Japan, then yes, then I think the whole region can have a much more positive and peaceful future. And by the way, I think that if that happens, I think we'll have many more peace deals of the kind that I had done with President Trump and Arab leaders in the Abraham Accords. We can expand the Abraham Peace Accords to include other countries in the Middle East and Muslim countries beyond the Middle East. So the future is bright, but the first stage is Hamas has to get on the program. They have to release all our hostages and do so immediately.
Well, the plan is seen as a short-term solution by many regional actors, and the Arab countries may not follow suit unless what they say they see a long-term solution for Palestine. How do you plan to get them on board from your side, from your point of view?
I think many of them are afraid of a Palestinian terror state. Many of them privately tell us how they want to see Hamas eliminated from the scene. I think we can get to a solution that protects Israel's security and also gives the Palestinians the ability to govern themselves, but not to threaten Israel. That means necessarily that some sovereign powers will remain in Israel's hands, especially the sovereign power of security, because we've seen time and again that when Israel moves out, gives the Palestinians a territory which they govern without no limitations, then immediately Iran comes in, they set up a terror state, they attack Israel, as they did in the horrific massacre of October 7th. That's not a path to peace. If you want a real path to peace, then the Palestinians have to come finally to recognize and accept the existence of a Jewish state in their midst. And that hasn't happened. That's why we don't have peace here, because they don't want a state next to Israel.
This is what their excuse to us every time. It's because they say the Palestinians don't accept the Jewish state. It's hard to accept a state where you will build off the ground of enslaving, occupying militarily wise, and just forcing them out of their own homes. That's the problem. You can recognize the Jewish state. It just wasn't supposed to be in Palestine. This is what this guy always fails to realize, that this is what they always do. This is Habara talking points, is that these Arab states didn't want to recognize Israel because they were built off the ground of occupation, literally stealing land by definition. These people, they literally sit up here and use these talking points like they don't want to recognize a Jewish state. Originally, they were supposed to go to Madagascar. They didn't agree to that. So they went to Palestine instead. And forcefully took the land militarily wise. Then next thing you know, you're occupying an indigenous group of people, and then you wonder why you're having so many conflict problems right now. Why you're having Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Iran. This is why you're having these militant groups coming after you. For a while, Bashar Assad. So it's because of Israel, the creation of the state of Israel. That's why. It's not that a Jewish state couldn't come into existence. It's just that Israel shouldn't have been created in the way that it should have been created, in the place where it should have been. It should have been, originally, it should have been in Madagascar or somewhere else.
They want a state instead of Israel. And once any territory they get, they used to attack us again and again. If we don't change that, then then this conflict will continue. If we do, we are able, with the plan that we have for the day after Hamas in Gaza, if we are able to change that, that goes a long way to securing a long-term peace and a stable peace in the Middle East.
Well, some of the critics voiced exactly this concern, as you say, regarding what comes the day after.
Exactly. And I said what comes the day after is a de-radicalized Gaza, a demilitarized Gaza, and a disarmed Gaza, in the sense that Hamas will no longer run the show. And the people who will run the show in Gaza, and those are not Israelis, they have to be those Palestinians supported by others who want peace with Israel and not the destruction of Israel. And once we get to that point, I think we can advance peace, not only between Israel and Gaza, but between Israel and many other partners in the Middle East and the Muslim countries beyond the Middle East.
Prime Minister, would this plan and this outcome be possible without Donald Trump's mediation, given that Europe has been visibly absent from this process?
Europe has been absent because Europe has basically caved in to Palestinian terrorism, to radical Islamist minorities in their midst. And they basically said, just give them a Palestinian state, which would be the ultimate reward for Hamas after doing the greatest massacre against the Jews.
It's not an ultimate reward for Hamas. It's in response to the massive starving of women and children, and they indiscriminately bombing and shooting and murders of all these innocent people who have nothing to do with Hamas. That's why they're recognizing a Palestinian state.
Since the Holocaust, now we'll give you a state in which you can continue the war against Israel. That's why Europe has essentially become irrelevant and displayed enormous weakness. If you want to fight terror, stand up and fight terror. Stand up and be forceful against terrorism. Don't capitulate to its demands. Don't feed the crocodile, in Churchill's words, because it's going to come after you after it devours Israel or any other country that stands in its way. That's the first thing what not to do. What should be done is exactly what President Trump is doing. He's presenting a realistic peace plan, a realistic plan that eliminates the terrorist elements, the elements that want to continue the war again and again, who vow to repeat the massacre of October 7th again and again. Remove them, replace them with a peaceful administration, and let's get that we can move on with peace. But that requires first releasing all the hostages and eliminating Hamas as a military and governing element in Gaza.
There are several EU countries recently recognized the state of Palestine. How this affects or will affect Israel's relations with Europe? How would you explain to those in Europe what are the goals of your government in Gaza?
Well, I think it caused enormous damage first here in the Middle East because it's the ultimate prize for terror. You attack Jews, and as I said, the worst attack since the Holocaust, and you're given a state because that's who is going to run that state. And remember, the Palestinians had a state in Gaza, a de facto state, which turned out to be the greatest terrorist attack in history since 9/11. Imagine that after 9/11, people would say, okay, now let's give bin Laden and Al-Qaeda.
We're going to probably react to Tucker Carlson's 9/11 series too as well. I heard it's good, so I'll wait till you release all the episodes on YouTube, and then we'll check it out.
Let's give them a state. Not only will we give them a state, it'll be 1 mile from New York, which is what they're suggesting. After this October 7th massacre against Israel, we'll give the Palestinians a state 1 mile or a few miles from Tel Aviv. That's not going to promote peace, but that's effectively what the European leaders, those European leaders who suggested a Palestinian state, are saying. We're going to stop terrorism by giving the terrorists a state right next to their intended victim, whom they almost eliminated. That doesn't move peace. I think that the more responsible approach taken by the United States and by President Trump, that's the way to improve peace. How did we get the Abraham Accords? You know, for 50 years, for 25 years, a quarter of a century, we couldn't expand the peace with our Arab neighbors. Everybody said you have to give the Palestinians a state. And that state obviously was committed to our elimination. So that wouldn't move it very far. In fact, it would move the needle backwards. In came President Trump and I, and we worked together, and we went around the Palestinian state. We went to Abu Dhabi. We went to the Emirates, that is. We went to Bahrain. We went to Morocco. We went to Sudan, and we brokered a direct peace between them, a peace based on mutual respect, a peace based on strength. First you have the strength, then you have the peace. Now what these European leaders are saying, let's weaken Israel to the point where it's fighting for its survival against another Palestinian state, this time right at the outskirts of Jerusalem, in fact, within Jerusalem, and right above the hills above Tel Aviv. Let's give them a state, and that's going to bring peace. That's absurd. So Europe has lost. Those European leaders, unfortunately, caved in.
But hold on. Occupying them militarily is not going to bring them peace. Just removing Hamas. Let's just keep militarily occupying them, and we can keep the peace like that. Just Hamas is the problem. It's solely the problem. We get rid of Hamas, then we can have peace. So his only crux for saying what's causing this conflict is Hamas. That's all it is. It's Iran. We need to commit regime change there. We need to put in a friendlier regime that's in favor of Israel, and we need to take Hamas, all of his proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, and remove them out the equation, and then we can have peace in the Middle East. That's his idea. Not recognizing a state of Palestine for the people that are not Hamas fighters, that are women, children, and men that have nothing to do with them. No. It's just strictly Hamas is the problem. How about militarily occupying them is also the problem? That's going to cause years and years of conflict. It's a repeating cycle. If you don't address the elephant in the room, you're never going to find the solution to the problem. The problem is Israel's occupying them militarily. The people can't breathe because they got their knees over their necks by this apartheid state that is ruling with an iron fist and militarily bloodshed.
To the terror of Hamas, and I think that's the wrong way to go. I hope they rethink their way, because we prefer to have not only good relations with Europe, but good relations with a realistic Europe, and one that would bring real peace as opposed to the repetition of horrible war.
Are you willing to negotiate with the European members to convince them to do that?
Well, I'm in constant touch with them. I can't say that. I can say that some of them have been more, I would say, more respectful of our positions than others. Others, basically, they're under tremendous pressure. The media is very tilted against Israel. It just accepts Hamas propaganda, hook, line, and sinker, whatever numbers they give, whatever facts they give that are exactly the opposite of the truth, they've accepted. Then they have also these demonstrations from day one of the massacre, when women were raped and men were beheaded and babies were burned by these Hamas monsters. There were mass demonstrations on the streets of Europe's capitals on behalf of Hamas.
That wasn't true. That was debunked already.
On behalf of Hamas. And with this combined pressure of distorted media and internal Islamist pressure supporting Hamas, quite a few of them caved in, and that's not good. I think it's not good for Europe. I think it's very bad for Europe, because it encourages additional extremism and fanaticism, which will bring down Europe eventually. And I don't think it's good for peace. So I hope that Europe changes its direction. Some of it has, but some of it hasn't. I hope the part that hasn't rethinks, not only for our sake, but for Europe's sake too.
Prime Minister, the Hamas attack on the 7th of October marked a turning point in the conflict and the tragic loss of life and the ongoing suffering. I want to ask you, how do you reflect on the impact of it today, of what happened? What lessons from the day continue to shape Israel's policies? And in this specific moment, with the release of hostages imminent, and after all the immense suffering on both sides, has justice been served in your view?
I think the first question is, can we remove a threat to perform another Holocaust on the Jewish people? And the answer is, I think we have. It's coming to great.
They love using that talking point. It's one of their Hezbollah talking points. It's a repeated talking point where we don't. Never again. That's their talking point. They don't want another what's the word? A Cookie Monster event happening again to them. But instead, they want to commit the Cookie Monster event by what they're doing in Gaza. They want to commit the Cookie Monster event. So they always love saying no more, never another Holocaust, never another Holocaust. But we will be the ones to implement it ourselves.
Great cost to us, because we've lost some of our finest sons and daughters who bravely fight this war. I think we've done something else. It's not only been a war against Hamas terrorists. It's been a war against the Iran terror axis. Remember that in these 2 years of conflict, we also went after Hezbollah that threatened to rain down 150,000 rockets and missiles on our heads, and they did quite a bit of that, and we basically brought them to their knees, Hezbollah. We brought down, by our action, the murderous Assad regime that had murdered half of a million of its own population and served as a main axis for the Iran terror bridge to the Mediterranean. We took out the most dangerous weapons directed against us and rolled back the Iran atomic threat to annihilate Israel. It's a tremendous achievement. And it not only threatened us, it threatened every one of our Arab neighbors. We are standing at the front lines while we are being attacked from people in Europe whom we are protecting. It's quite amazing. So obviously, there has to be a change, I think, in the understanding of what battle is being fought here. It's not merely against the
All right, we're still up.
Hamas terrorists who hide behind civilians, who use their civilians as human shields, who shoot the civilians who want to get out of harm's way when we tell them leave the area, the zone of combat. It's not only against these monstrous terrorists, it's against the whole monstrous terror axis that Hamas has built, not only to destroy Israel, conquer the Middle East, but to attack you. And that is what Israel is fighting. Few Europeans perhaps understand it, but it doesn't make it less true. It's just when, as Churchill warned the world that was celebrating the Munich Agreement, celebrating the giving Hitler control basically of a part of Czechoslovakia, everybody said it's peace in our time. And he said, no, it's not. It's not. This will bring a war, the likes of which we haven't seen. And people condemned him as a warmonger, just as they're condemning Israel, just as they're condemning me. But in fact, we're fighting the battle of the free world. We're fighting the battle to prevent the barbarians from storming into Europe, first from conquering all the Middle East, storming into Europe, and then attacking the United States. Now, whether or not people see it, it's true. And I'm very proud of our soldiers who, in defending ourselves so courageously, are also defending all of free civilization.
Prime Minister, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yep, so that's his so we're gonna get into Trump's we're gonna read exactly all of Trump's peace plan that he has for the conflict in Gaza. This is his plan, fully outlined right here. Is on a Rapid Response 47 X account. This is for the White House because it has the gray check mark. So President Donald Trump's comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. 1. Gaza will be a de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. 2. Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza, who have suffered more than enough. 3. If both sides agree with this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended, and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the complete stage withdrawal. 4. Within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages alive and deceased will be returned. Once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners. Key fact before I continue on, Israel has a bunch of prisoners that they arrested without charge and held without any grounds of criminality. They just arrest them. Not all of those are Hamas fighters. Those 250 people with life sentences, those are not Hamas. Some of those people are innocent people. They have nothing to do with this. So as the post goes on, 250 life sentence prisoners plus 17,000 Gazans, 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7th, 2023, including all women and children detained in that context. For every Israeli hostage whose remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. 6. Once again, all hostages are returned. Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. I doubt that. 7. Upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid would be immediately sent into the Gaza Strip. At a minimum, aid quarantines will be consistent with what was included in the January 19th, 2025. 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, sewage, rehabilitation of hospitals, bakeries, and entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads. 8. Entry of distribution and aid in the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated in any matter with either party. Opening the Rafah crossing in both directions will be subject to the same mechanism implemented under January 19, 2025 agreement. 9. Gaza will be governed under the temporary transition governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services and monopunctualities for people in Gaza. For the people in Gaza, this committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts, with oversight and supervision by new international transition body, the Board of Peace, which will be headed and chaired by President Donald J. Trump, with other members and heads of states to be announced, including former Prime Minister Tony Blair. This body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza under such time as the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program as outlined in various proposals, including President Trump's peace plan in 2020 and Saudi French proposal, and can secretly and effectively take back control of Gaza. This body will call on the best international standards to create modern and efficient governance that serves the people of Gaza and is conducive to attractive investments. 10. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups and will be considered to symphonize the security and governance frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs, opportunity, and hope for future Gaza. 11. A special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. 12. No one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. 13. Hamas and other factions agreed to not have any role in the governance of Gaza directly, indirectly, or in any form or military terror and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, in which will include placing weapons primarily beyond use through an agreed process of decommissioning and supported by an internationally funded buyback reintegration program, all verified by the independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and be peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. 14. Guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and factions comply with their obligations and that New Gaza possesses no threat to its neighbors or its people. 15. The United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporarily international stabilization force to immediately deploy in Gaza. The ISF will train and provide support to vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza and will consult with Jordan and Egypt, who have extensive experience in this field. This force will be the long-term internal security solution. The ISF will work with Israel and Egypt to help secure border areas along with newly trained Palestinian police forces. It is critical to prevent mutations from entering Gaza and to facilitate the rapid and secure flow of goods to rebuild and revitalize Gaza. A de a de fuck a deconfiscation mechanism will be agreed upon by the parties. 16. Israel would not occupy or annex Gaza. As the ISF establishes control and stability, the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and times frames linked to demilitarization that will be agreed upon between the IDF, ISF, guarantees, and the United States, with the objective of a secure Gaza that will no longer pose a threat to Israel, Egypt, or its citizens. Practically, the IDF will progressively hand over Gaza territory it occupies to the ISF according to an agreement that will make with the transition authority until they are withdrawn completely from Gaza. So meaning they're still going to be there. They're not going to immediately withdraw. So Israel, the IDF will still be in the territory for the time being until the ISF is fully trained and fully capable to take over. All right, save for a security perimeter presence that will remain until Gaza is properly secure from any resurgent terror threat. 17. In the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scale-up aid operation, will proceed in terror-free areas handed over from the IDF to the ISF. 18. An interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to try and change mindsets and narratives of Palestinians and Israelis by emphasizing the benefits that can be derived from peace. 19. While Gaza redevelopment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as an aspiration of the Palestinian people. 20. The United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. So there is mention of a statehood, but that's only after everything else comes to fruition. Trump basically said there is a pathway to statehood in a possible scenario, but only after everything else comes to agreement and is acted upon. So there can be a statehood. There can't be talks of a statehood until Hamas disarms. Gaza is basically demilitarized. There is an authority put in place by the United States to better suit the United States and to better govern Gaza in a way to where if it benefits everyone. So that's basically what this is outlining. So there is a pathway to statehood. It's a very, very long way for we ever even that comes to a possibility compared to all the European nations that recognize a Palestinian state and want to go ahead and create one because they realize the conflict will never stop as long as they're occupied. Trump wants to do this a slow and steady way instead of having to go ahead and recognize a Palestinian state because he feels like this would just be rewarding Hamas. In reality, it's not. It's rewarding the people that are occupied. So this plan, it's agreeable plan in certain ways, but obviously speaking, Hamas, they get amnesty, they get allowed to stay as long as they demilitarize, because a lot of their numbers have been deflated. They've had a lot of casualties on their end. A lot of the new Hamas members they have now are very young guys. Like, they're not the hard fought guys that have died, the Yahya Sinwars. You know, these guys are very young dudes that literally like are probably looking to have some form of agreement so that this conflict can stop right now. So this is the peace deal right here that's outlined by President Trump. So that's the peace deal right there. I kind of have to get some sleep now, so I'll probably have to end the stream right here. I wish I could go a little bit longer, but I do have to get some sleep, and I am kind of hungry. I haven't really ate nothing, so I'm just going to end the stream right here, and we'll pick up from where we left off tomorrow. I have a video we're going to watch. Can Israel and Hamas agree to Trump's Gaza peace plan? We'll watch that video to start out the video. Then we're going to cover the Charlie Kirk stuff afterwards. But anyways, I want to thank everyone for tuning into the stream tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Time may vary depending. 10 o'clock for sure. I might not go live directly at 10, but I'm shooting for 10. So, but anyways, I want to thank you for tuning into the stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next one. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, let me know how you like tonight's return to stream. Yeah, I know we had some problems here and there, but I'm gonna get a new internet provider for my PC that's gonna be better. So I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. But anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow.